It's never been a better time to be a creative. Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of robertoblake.com helping you create something awesome today. So, it's 2017 and again this year I have to do a what is graphic design video and talk about what it means for the state of graphic design this year. The reason that I do this video once a year is because the industry is always evolving and there are always fresh new creative professionals entering the marketplace. There are always new students pursuing graphic design. There are always new enthusiasts in the design world that want to understand this a little better and what it might mean for them professionally. What is graphic design and how does it differ from art? Well, graphic design in its simplest form can be considered visual communication. The way that differs from art is that art is about expression. Design focuses on communication and intent and being specific. When we work as graphic designers, we are using art sometimes to convey or evoke emotion and stir that in people with the intention of driving a call to action of some kind. We use a lot of mediums in graphic design. You can use a lot of different mediums in art as well. But when you think about web design, when you think about UI and UX design, when you think about motion graphics design, when you think about print media, and you think about the differences of all of these different ways of communicating, and then you think about what these things have in common and what they do, you'll find that they are ultimately leading us down a path to take a course of action, whereas art doesn't require that of us. Art just requires us to feel something. It doesn't actually require us to do something. When you have UI and UX design, it's solving a very specific problem. It's trying to make the experience and the understanding of how to use a platform or an application simple and intuitive so that even if you spoke a different language, you still understand how this thing is being used. Logo design and iconography is much the same. When we see the symbols on a restroom, when we see warning labels, regardless of our culture, regardless of our age, regardless of our education, a lot of times these communicate exactly the same things to us and it simplifies them. So for me, I think that communication represents the fundamental difference between art and design, and I think it also helps us understand really what the purpose of graphic design is and what your role, what your job as a graphic designer looks like. It's to solve these visual communication problems and to use visual communication to the benefit of consumers or to your employer or for society. There's a reason that the typography on street signs and highways exists in the way that it does. It needs to be readable, it needs to be legible for the far majority of people, regardless of whether they wear glasses or they're a little older. It doesn't matter. And the reason that we choose specific colors to represent stop and go and yield has to do with actual color theory and the way that color psychology and value works. And it also means that because of things like value, that even if you are colorblind, you could actually still interpret these things. It's why the design behind there being an order to the stoplight signs and it's consistent is there. That consistency, it creates context in and of itself so that outside of the ability to perceive color, there's still a system and an order that would allow you to understand what you're supposed to do at the traffic lights. In 2017, design is still changing, it's still evolving. We're still finding new ways to visually communicate as the technology that we use evolves in the form of social media. We're developing new styles and new trends as the user culture changes in the marketplace. This creates so many new opportunities, like the fact that designers can now make a living if they want to designing Snapchat geofilters. Because of the evolution of entrepreneurship, especially here in the United States, and how much there's a resurgence of that, graphic designers have more opportunities than ever in the freelance market, as do web designers, as do UI and UX designers, because of the fact that there's huge startup culture opportunities for people who have those skill sets. And with the robust amount of creators that are pursuing online video in platforms like YouTube and the live streaming community, there's an opportunity for motion graphic designers beyond what there was even just a few short years ago. So when I say it's never been a better time to be a creative, that's not rah-rah fluff. In 2017, You may feel that there's a lot of pressure in the marketplace, in the job market, when it comes to creative professionals or graphic design. That may have some validity to it, but if you're open to the idea of maybe being a freelancer or starting your own creative business and everything like that, there's nearly limitless potential for those who are ready to hustle and those who educate themselves about what this could look like for them. In the relative job market itself, there are still opportunities and it's still a growth sector because there's never been a greater demand for people who have the skills to do great visual branding, great visual communication, great aesthetic, and be able to help brands really push their products, because the marketplace for products has never been more competitive. We need great packaging design. Apple has set a really high bar where that's concerned, and other brands have taken notice. More brands are paying into high advertising budgets in digital, and so doing web banner advertisements, doing Facebook ads, understanding what that could look like, doing ads for Instagram. That's something that's new here and that creates more opportunity for those who have the skills and bring that to the table so that brands can remain competitive. So if anyone's telling you that there's no money in being a creative professional, if people are telling you there's no money in being a graphic designer or a web designer anymore, I would ask them to explain that versus the billions upon billions of dollars alone spent in digital advertising, and the simple fact that even though I would argue the point, billboards don't seem to be going out of style anytime soon, and they're still sold for the same prices they were sold just a few years ago, even though I would argue that their value should have diminished due to digital online advertising and social media. But hey, if you love print, the money's still there. For those of you who are working graphic designers, I would love to know what your thoughts on the evolution of the industry is and what you think we can expect over the next few years in terms of trends and new technology. Let me know in the comment section. If you are an aspiring graphic designer and you have questions, I'd love to know what you're curious about or what it is that you have concerns about, and you can leave those in the comment section as well. Like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other awesome content on the channel. As always, you guys, thanks so very much for watching, and don't forget, create something awesome today. Take care.